Good evening, and thank you for joining us for a Westwood Trust Creative Chat. My name is Claire Williamson, and I am the Director of Education and Community Engagement at Society for the Performing Arts. To describe myself and my surroundings, I am a white woman with long brown hair and dark rimmed glasses. I'm wearing a green top, gold earrings, and there are several framed photos on the wall behind me. I am thrilled to be chatting this evening with another awardee of the Houston Artist Commissioning Project, Roderick George. SPA's Houston Artist Commissioning Project launched last summer as an opportunity to provide economic and creative support to Houston's artist community, with virtual premieres rolling out throughout the fall and a live cohort announced earlier this year. We're celebrating 3 virtual premieres this summer, and look forward to the live in-person premieres in October and November at Jones Hall. To learn more about the Houston Artist Commissioning Project, please visit our website. The link is shown on screen. Before we delve into the conversation this evening, I would like to take a moment on this Memorial Day to acknowledge the many Indigenous communities that have long used and continue to use this land as a living and gathering space. SPA's offices in Jones Hall are located on ancestral land traversed by the Karankawa, Atakapa Ishak, Sana, and Kolwitakan people. The Alabama Coushatta migrated to the Houston area over 3 centuries ago, and they've played a large role in shaping the culture and economy of our region. We acknowledge these communities to offer recognition and respect for their lived experience and to broaden awareness of the forces that have led to this moment. It's now my pleasure to introduce Roderick George, SPA's Houston Artist Commissioning Project Virtual Grantee. Born and raised in Houston, Texas, Roderick began his classical training at Ben Stevenson's Houston Ballet Academy, and then explored modern technique at the Alvin Ailey School. After graduating from the High School for the Performing and Visual Arts, he moved to New York, where he studied at SUNY Purchase and later joined Cedar Lake Contemporary Ballet in 2005, there engraving the beginning of his footprints in the dance world. Roderick moved abroad to Switzerland to join Basel Ballet Theater Basel in 2007, and later to join the Foresight Company in Frankfurt, Germany, under the direction of William Foresight. Along with his talent as a dancer, Roderick also has a passion for choreography since the early years, showcasing his work across Europe and the United States, where he continues to use prior knowledge and experiences to not only improve his choreographic work, but also his talent and development as a contemporary performer. Coming from an underprivileged segment of society, Roderick has consistently had to figure out ways to gain access to the esteemed artistic institutions where he could learn codified forms of dance. The struggle to obtain knowledge pushed him to thrive in his formative years, in large part due to a scrappy relentlessness developed in his pursuit of excellence. Welcome, Roderick.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm so excited to get this conversation started. I have a couple of questions prepared, and if our virtual audience would like to chime in, they're welcome to post a question, and we'll do our best to cover it. So first, I'd love to just talk a little bit about your roots in Houston. As I just shared in your bio, you're a graduate of HSPDA and trained at Ben Stevenson's Houston Ballet. So what was your experience coming up as a dancer in Houston?
It was very kind of all over the place because I was also growing up in a very inner city community in Houston. And also I originally I went into dance from gymnastics. I was a gymnast first. Wow. And then I met a teacher who saw my talent as a gymnast and told me to maybe go into a very small local school called the Kahuma House, and from there I had an amazing teacher who thought that Houston Ballet would be a great platform for me to learn.
Mhm.
And then from there, I just kept learning and thriving, but also I didn't see much representation outside of me except Lauren Anderson and Carlos Acosta. They were like the pinnacle ideas of what dance was for me as a young Black kid. And
Sure.
I learned a lot from just being so close. I love the old school ballet school was like one floor situation that all the classes were, the company members were next to the classes that we were participating in. So we could really study and feel that sweat and energy from those professional dancers. So that was
Wow.
an amazing experience for me to grow up. And then when I went to Ailey as a teenager, that opened my eyes up into seeing a broader scope of what dance could be like for me. And as a dancer, thinking that, oh, there was no opportunities for me because I was a small Black kid and I didn't see so many of myself out there. And
Right.
that was the first time that I could really think and dream and believe that I could be able to do something with my life.
That totally makes sense. Absolutely. I can imagine the importance of representation cannot be overstated. Yeah, definitely. How did all those experiences at the Ailey School, at HSPBA, at Houston Ballet, how did that prepare you to sort of move out into the world in your next steps, first to New York and then internationally?
I will definitely say community. What was the one thing that I loved a lot as I was growing up? Again, I didn't have much money, and I have to thank, and I hope she's watching. I have to thank my dance mom. My dance mom was Miss Priscilla Nathan Murphy. She was a big figure in the dance community. She was a teacher at HSPBA. She was my teacher from the age of 8 at Houston
Wow.
Ballet. And then I had her at HSPBA when I was 14. And she was definitely a different type of representation as well, being a woman of color. Um, her roots are from Singapore. And she was one of the first people to think, oh, let's go watch Dance Salad. Let's go to SPA shows that are hosting this company or that company. So she allowed me to get a different idea of what dance could be outside of Houston Ballet, because if that company doesn't give me a spot in the company, what do? You stop? No, you don't stop. You keep going. You keep reaching out for whatever's out there. So for me, it was really about her, and not just her, my friends who were dancers in at HSPBA, who also went to other programs outside of Houston. Because when you only know what's in your four walls, then that's all you see and that's all you know. But when you can get out of those four walls, you can understand that the world is greater and bigger. And as that famous statement, the world is your oyster. Yeah.
So true. Yeah, it's so important. I feel that so many of us are lucky enough to have a mentor or teacher that is able to, it's so fortunate to be able to have a teacher that stays with you throughout your development, because there's so many different touch points and like sort of aha moments that come up throughout your development. And those teachers really do become like second parents that can encourage you in ways that your parents, just don't have the frame of reference.
Agreed. And it's she, and not just her, many other teachers that I had in my past were the reasoning why I decided to also place my feet inside of the HSPBA school, or the kinder HSPBA school now, because of the fact that it is me being, not careless of their future, because they are the new generation, and they're going to help uproot and upgrow this world that we're living in today and seeing something different. Because we can't keep preserving what the history is. What we want is now to use that history to get us to someone else. And so
Absolutely.
I love bringing my experiences from Europe and my experiences from New York over to Houston and giving my dedication and my love of dance and history of dance to those individuals.
Yeah, absolutely. That segues right into another question I had just about your return to teaching at HSPDA, which is so exciting. And how does your identity as a dance educator fit into everything else you do? You know, you're talking about bringing these inspirations into the classroom, but what about being an educator? What does that do for your practice? Do you get inspiration? How does that fit?
Well, what we've learned in the past, at least for me when I was a young student, was only about the technique and only about getting the job. And
Mhm.
and the presentation of cutting out all the individuality of who you are needs to be weaved out and only present the vessel of what that choreographer wants or what that
Mhm.
company member or that director might need of you as a company member.
Right.
Now, today, I feel like there is much more acknowledgement of being an individual. And so me being very clear that me working with someone like William Forsythe, who was very uh, open about me being, I want you to be Black. I want you to be very
Mhm.
strong and proud about your queerness. I want you to be strong and proud of all the things that build you, your culture, you being maybe not the ideal of what this subscription, what Blackness is supposed to be like, and you being a smaller frame dancer, that
Mhm.
gives now another platform, another idea for others to come in, and why we want others to come in and view you. So now what I do is that I try to insert individuality inside the rooms. I love to insert now improvisational studies inside the rooms because these are the things that we need as individuals to learn, and how choreographers want us to be much more malleable with um, other ideas and not
Mhm.
stuck on to the practices that we're so used to being given.
Right. Sort of like strict technique
Mhm.
versus interpretation and
Right, right.
expression. Yeah, absolutely. It's just so wonderful to hear about the cyclical nature of things. You know, you had this inspiring teacher at HSPDA, and now you're coming back and you're bringing all of this amazing reference points to these students and are able to be, you know, a mentor and an inspiration point for them. It's just wonderful
Thank you.
to hear. I'd love to talk a little bit as well about your SPA upcoming premiere this Thursday,
Hmm.
Fleshless Beasts.
Hmm.
So without giving too much away to our audience, what can you share about the work? Maybe about the theme, about the creation process?
So Fleshless Beast actually is a remake of a work that I created in 2018 in Berlin
Mhm.
when I was living in Berlin. And I created that work with a friend of mine who's also from Houston, who's trans. Her name is Lotic. She created the work for this whole project, and I was just very, very excited for
Wow.
myself to express this work out into the community. When I got this commission with SPA, I was super excited about it, and I was trying to figure out a way to do a new creation within the platform. Well, actually, not the platform, within the circumstances that we're dealing with right now with COVID.
Right.
And I knew it was very difficult to just rally up a huge group of dancers that I really wanted to have in the space. Also, I didn't know much dancers within the community in Houston, and I was also still within the year was traveling between Houston and New York and LA, and I was going around. I was like, I don't know what to do, going through it, and then I just thought, okay, you know what? Quiet down, quiet those thoughts down. Instead of trying to do a new creation where you need more funding and more money to have like the space to reorganize an idea, put a work together, but revision the work and how we can see it virtually. And that was the whole thing. I was like, oh, I don't know how Fletches would look virtually. Let's make a mood board. So I got together with a friend of mine named Derek Howard, who is the filmmaker of this work, and filmed it, and the cinematographer of it all. And we created a nice little mood board of different ideas. And then I placed together one of my assistants of every time I make work outside of Houston, I bring my friend to assist me. And so I asked them to assist me in this work and to be a part of it. And I was just very grateful that we were able to find these beautiful, cool shots within different parts of the cities that we were touring around.
Yeah, it really is so cinematographically, that's the way to say it. It is really so dynamic. It's really an exciting piece. I'm excited for everyone else to experience it. I love what you were saying about creating a mood board. So what was the process like in terms of transitioning this live piece into virtual?
Yes.
You probably had to cut some pieces down, and what was that like?
So ultimately, this whole piece itself, the whole real piece of it is 1 hour. The scene that I was showing was the first act, which is 20 minutes. And so what we did was we wanted to shoot 10 minutes of that 20 minutes. Then in process of that, once we got the commission of SPA, we realized, oh, we did too much. So let's cut it down again. And then as we cut it down, we wanted just to showcase and highlight basically the masking. So basically inside this work, I actually was pulling from my roots of Houston and me growing up. And basically what I was telling my dancers and also Derek was when I was reading as a child, like The Great Gatsby or some of my favorite poems from Edgar Allan Poe and Robert Frost, they would be very clear and very detailed about colors and how the color symbolism meant so heavily to their work. And me as a person of color and being recognized as quote unquote Black, I would see Black as always like moody and dirty and all these negative feels. And I would be like, teacher, I don't understand. I'm Black. I'm not dirty. I just took a shower this morning, or that, like all these different things. And then I was like, let's find a way to mask this idea of what it is to be Black and why it looks scary. And so I wanted to first put this idea of like this fear of the mask. And then as the mask is taking off, you're actually getting to see the individual inside and the beauty inside of that person. So that's where the theme of that work was coming from.
I definitely see the vulnerability as well that comes with that, of taking the mask off and showing, sort of presenting it, saying this is what you see, but take a look at what's inside, what's behind the mask. It's beautiful. Yeah. Well, this was a short chat, but I do want to make sure before we wrap things up that I give you a chance, in addition to this piece, is what else is going on? Any other projects that you'd like to share with the audience, or other things you're working on that you want to talk about?
Well, because of SPA, again, thank you. You all have stimulated me to go forward with creating this new production that I do want to do. And I'm working on trying to fund this production with 10 dancers and a full evening of a work that I would love to showcase within my hometown in Houston, and also within the community of New York, because it's still a very heavy community of mine. It's always supported me. And Yes, so I'm working on this, and also this will be a little tie into my thesis as I graduate for grad school as well. So I'm trying to do two in one, but mainly I want to be able to showcase this mind that's been stimulated because of the SPA. So that's all I can say. I don't have much more to it because I do have, and I mean I have the work name. The work name will be called the Missing Fruit, and that's basically what it is.
That sounds very interesting, and I'm very excited to hear about how things go in grad school. That's going to be a really, really wonderful adventure for you. We do have a question from the audience.
Yes.
So, Roderick, you started in Houston, you were a part of Cedar Lake, you danced with Foresight. What about becoming this world-class artist have you been able to bring back to your roots?
Unfortunately, I have tried everything possible. I've tried everything possible to try to bring back those things here in Houston to the community, and I'm still working on it. I would love to do a collaboration with you all or with the school that I'm working for, and trying to provide a system where I can bring in my relationships from Europe and my relationships from New York and from California and wherever, and give to the community of Houston, to the youth, and also, hey, to the professional dancers in Houston, because I feel like there's something that needs to be stimulated, but we're not sure how to. And I know that I have a lot of tools in my belt, but I'm trying my best to trying to say it in the best way. I'm also trying to be respectful of the institutions and the individuals that have been already implemented something very heavy inside of the city itself. I would like that we could collaborate, but what has been a thing inside of Houston is we have our thing, you have your thing. That's how we work. And I would love that we can now divide that and throw that out the door and really collaborate and really work together as a community, because it's our community, especially within this pandemic, that we've recognized that has been very detrimental and being killed. The arts have been killed, and we now need to kind of serve each other and work together and really believe that it's us that can be able to bring this thing alive.
Absolutely. That brings up so many thoughts for me. There's just you're coming here with such a fantastic network, and it's just, the power of collaboration, building off of existing infrastructure. There's so many possibilities there. We definitely look forward to working with you more in the future. We've got a great comment from the audience. Just keep pushing. We'll continue to work together and make things happen. So thank you so much for joining us this evening, Roderick. Thank you to everyone for joining us virtually and for engaging with us during the conversation. Huge thank you to our program sponsor, Westwood Trust. Before we sign off, I would like to encourage everyone to learn more about and support the work that Roderick has going on beyond his work with SPA. You can check him out on Facebook or Instagram, which are linked on our Facebook page. And thank you so much, Roderick, for sharing your time with me this evening and for allowing our audience to get to know you better.
Thank you, everyone. I really, really appreciate you all.
Before we head off, I'll just say Society for the Performing Arts is a nonprofit organization. If you enjoyed our conversation, please consider learning more about what we do at SPA and supporting our work and the work of the amazing Houston Artist Commissioning Project artists. Our website is here on the screen. Make sure, everyone, to save the date for Roderick's HACP premiere right here on Facebook, YouTube Live, and the SPA website taking place this Thursday, June 3rd at 7 p.m. We'll see you there.